Okay, question? Because we are flooded with many questions that come from our audience. So I have here one question that I would like to share with you. So the first one is, how important is to have a wide patient representation, geographical, socioeconomic, etc., for a study, and how can you achieve this effectively? I think this would go for Jan. Jan, and anyone else could follow.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it of course depends on the type of study and type of research that is being planned. I mean, my advice would always be to work with the umbrella organizations, which are in a specific therapeutic field, or maybe even umbrella organizations beyond that, because they can identify member organizations or individual patient advocates or patients or relatives in the different countries, because we tend to involve those that speak English well or are in English-speaking countries or are active in countries where patient engagement has been most prevalent. But this, of course, doesn't help, and we know there's strong diversity in how patients are being treated in Eastern Europe and Western Europe and Southern Europe. And we need to make sure that whatever research we do, that actually fulfills the needs in the different regions. And that's why I think that the question is spot on. It's really important to think about diversity and about regional footprint in these research projects. We tend to be too Western in many of them.
I would like to go to Jane, because I think, Jane, regarding the first question about representativity of patients in projects, you have a lot of things to say.
Yeah, and we had on our patient council two UK members, 2 members from the Netherlands, 1 member from Norway, and 1 member from Spain, who eventually, a young woman who was doing a degree in nursing, so couldn't continue. We also had someone from Germany at the start, but we did find it difficult to get, even within Europe. Northern Europe was okay, so the UK, Netherlands, Germany had organisations set up to help with that. But in Southern Europe, we found it difficult, and we never got anyone from France, sadly. By the time we got partway through the project, we decided it was easier just to have the group. So it is a big issue. I think there are more organisations in the UK and the Netherlands, for example, than there are in Spain and France.
Would Chris and Roberts and Jane Goodrick like to say something?
Yeah, we fully agree with what Jane's saying, and we also we struggle to get any members from France coming to express an interest in joining the European Working Group for people with dementia. But it is very much centric, if you like, very much the English-speaking community, and that is a great difficulty, because not only do we all have different experiences of our own conditions, but we have different living experiences. We also live in the UK and are very well supported if we know where to go for it. Not many people do have the knowledge that we have, and so they're not well supported, but it is there. In other countries,
we have non-English speakers in our group, and it's so easy. You don't have to exclude them because they don't speak English. It's so easy for them to bring along a supporter who can translate for them. It takes minutes for them to translate, and if you do some pre-reading for them, translating their own language beforehand, they can be included.
So as Chris is saying, you can include those non-English speaking, but it's getting to the people in those countries that we've noticed is a great barrier.
Mm-hmm. Of course, and as Helen mentioned earlier on, the language barrier is a big issue as well. I think we have to move to our next question because time is running out. So we have a question: how do you document? Oh, we're going to a different issue here. How do you document the value of PPI? And I think this question can go to Magda.
Yeah, thank you so much. I would maybe just add on the previous question that it's so important to have people from various geographies because of the different socioeconomic conditions, as was said before, and different language, different cultures. All of that would reflect or need to be reflected in the final product that that the researchers are developing. So it's really super important, and it's up to us to find a way to get to those communities and to inform them. Now, on documenting and looking at impact, I think I would like to direct people to the Paradigm website and the evaluation framework, because it has a fantastic metrics tool in a simple Excel spreadsheet where you can look, depending on what you want to achieve and where you are in your study. You can actually look at various types of metrics, and this tool also helps you to document it and to measure what patient engagement brings you at the level of your research, at the level of the quality of interactions, at the level even of the final product and how it looks like. So I think there are, in Paradigm, there are very, very useful tool for achieving this, and that's on the Paradigm website.
Okay, we'll move to another question. How can researchers, for example, in universities or SMEs, find patients who could get involved in their projects? Who would like to go on first?
I mean, I can probably respond to that quickly. I mean, that's why we have organizations like EUPADI or like PFMD and others, because they can actually help on that kind of matchmaking between academic groups and patient organizations. And often we, as umbrella organizations in patient advocacy, we often do that because we're being contacted by research and they say, we have a research project in area X, Y, and Z, but we're not aware about organizations. Do you know somebody? And through EUPADI, because it's been active in more than 60 different indication areas across all different types of diseases, usually the EUPADI guys know somebody and can actually recommend a group that could help to identify people that would be contributing to such a project. The only important thing is that this doesn't happen 2 weeks before submission of the proposals, because that's the default model. And then you actually have no chance to actually get an organization, identify the right people, get them consented to the project, get them bought in, and still have them reflected in the whole proposal. So think about it early, then we'll find somebody.
Thank you, Jan. Would anyone else like to? Okay, Chris.
Yeah. We've got a great thing in the UK aimed at dementia research. Can be remodeled for any kind of research, and it's just like a dating agency, really. They advertise all the research that's going on from different universities. They collect people's names, people with the disease and without, and they match them up. It's almost like a dating matchmaking thing, and they match you up to various researches that are going on, and it's called Join Dementia Research. So it's at Beat Dementia on Twitter, and it's a great way of getting people involved.
Thank you.
Can I also add to that, Ellie? There's in the UK as well, we have something called People in Research, which is similar. It's a sort of website you can go on, and researchers can just put in what they're doing and who they, you know, people with this disease, this condition. And it can be as simple as filling in a questionnaire for them or contacting them to get involved. And that's run by NIHR, but that's really useful. So you can go on and put your own research, or if you want to get involved, you can go on it. But I also think it's important for researchers not to be nervous about just contacting, you know, charities, organisations. Often researchers seem very nervous about contacting patients. You won't offend anybody. People can only say no. So I think it's just, you know, go for it. You know, don't be frightened. Make any connections and any links that you can.
Diagnosis, the doctors or clinicians, whoever gives you diagnosis, has a duty to tell you about research, because if you don't know. And a lot of people think research is going to be so invasive. I didn't take part in research for the first 2 years because I didn't want to share my brain with anyone.
Okay, so I think we'll move. We have lots and lots of questions. So there's another one, a very, very good one. How do you persuade patients to be involved in research? What is the strongest argument? I think all of you can answer this. So who would like to go first?
I'm going to go first.
Jane.
It's what I always say, research gives us hope. Where you are given a diagnosis and there is no hope, research is the first place, the first port of call that we found hope. And we thought, if we are feeling like this, so is everybody else. What can we do? We can't do anything about his condition, but we can do something about the future generations with his condition. I mean, we found out there is lots and lots of hope, but only once we got involved in research. So research is about hope for me.
I think it's also, if patients are involved in it, it gives us a voice because we're on the front line. We're the ones that are dealing with the problems, the disease. And it needs us to be involved in research to move it forward, because researchers are experts and everything, but to actually have the disease and the passion about living with the disease as well needs to come across in research, I think, as well, because we've got a wealth of experience and every single patient is different. We've all got different views. So I think more patients it would be better if more patients got into research and used their voices.
And everyone has such a different experience of the same illnesses. So we need as many people as we can to join in with the one voice, because I'm only an expert in my experience, not anyone else's, even with the same disease.
Yeah.
And probably just the last comment. I mean, there's individual motivation because we're all mission-driven people. We want to help research and want to make sure that whatever is being done in such projects really has the patient perspective in mind. But the other side is the institutional side. If you really want to have people work on these projects, provide resources and funding and infrastructure for it, because we can only do so much as volunteers. But if suddenly the project foresees patient engagement all across the work packages, you need to attend 10 meetings a year and calls, and you should be reviewing 50-page documents for patient perspectives, then you need to pay people to do that. And that's why, you need to have people on the consortium side that they take care of you and support you in that endeavor, that you can probably, Chris, a bit like you were saying, lend your brain, but not your hands. I think it's important to think about resourcing of patient engagement early, and that's where many projects have a problem.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jan.
I just have an addition to it. Jane and everybody and Gary, really good. It's well said, but it's from a perspective from a patient. But of course, I was in the C4C project and as a parent, and you have different experiences, different things, different views about it. And it's so important that we can have a voice to it. And if it's not for us, it's for the future. So it's really important that we can all involve patients, parents, carers, and the experts, and we all together, we make it work. So I think it's really important to join.
I think this is a great key message to take home, I think. But I'm afraid we don't have more time for any more questions. We will try to answer them and have the answers on our website. And we would like now to invite Magda for the closing remarks. Magda, the floor is yours now.
Thank you so much, and it's been really a fantastic exchange, and I learned so much, and I have goosebumps, and really you've been truly inspiring. So I thought I would really keep it super short, because after all, who I am, you are the patients, and you spoke very eloquently about how IMI made an impact, because IMI clearly, after what we've heard today, made an impact on your own lives, on researchers, on the culture of collaboration. We've seen that IMI itself has evolved. and we have a great opportunity to impact beyond the project, because projects in IMI are creating the standards, they are creating the tools, and they are creating the products that now, if we are cautious and if we stay on the ball and continue disseminating the information, finding the communities, informing them, and most importantly, deploying and upscaling and really making sure that things happen, we can really be the game changers. I think when we've started IMI many years ago, it was about productivity of research. That was about IMI 1. When we've started IMI 2, it was about relevance of research. And very quickly, it became about patients and how the research is about them and with them, and not just them being the subjects or objects of research. I think that's how IMI has evolved thanks to you, and that has been a real impact. But I think that what we are generating in projects by creating more than a publication or one product, by creating standards like Prefer, by creating tools, by creating networks that involve patients, that makes that real difference. As I've said before, we change the culture. I'm not hearing anymore scientists saying, why should we engage patients? Or if they do, they feel ashamed because many people around them look at them in a strange way. And that is, for me, the sign that the culture has changed. So I'm not hearing that, or we hear embarrassment. I should applaud that too, indeed. We also see that companies are approaching research with patients differently. You gave testimonies today about how you are listened to, and I think that is another sign of real change. And I would say that the next sign of change that IMI has brought in is the strategic research agenda of the successor to IMI, the Innovative Health Initiative, that didn't start yet, and we hope to be starting next year. But in IHI, it's the patient perspective that is the starting point of a reflection, and no longer just research productivity. So as you can see, everything that you've done and how IMI projects have evolved and what they delivered is really impacting on the shape and form of research in the future. But what I would like to say to close is that it's not just about what we are doing today, but about how we would all take this message to our respective communities to make sure that this happens, that we really implement it in research practice, in medical practice, in regulatory practice. So all the standards, all the networks, and all the communities, I think it's up to us to make sure that the message, as I said, goes beyond publication. And I think we can only make a commitment and ask you to guide us and to give us pointers of where we need to go next as IHI would start and as IMI would continue delivering results. So thank you very much to all of you today, and continue being with us and keeping an eye on us so that we continue doing the right things.
Thank you. This is an excellent final part of this webinar for patients, on patient involvement. And we would like to thank you all for your participation and for the time that you have dedicated for this webinar. A big thank you also to the audience. And we hope that you have a very, very, very nice afternoon and hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.